All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Four Football Guys Football Podcast. I'm your host, Bill Martin. I'm here with three of the four other experts that we have on our show routinely. Missing Kieran McVan. We're not sure exactly. I think he got the gymitis at this one, so he's not able to attend. Starting off with our expert in the field of surfing, Bill Martin Jr. How are you, buddy?
Hey, good.
How the waves doing? It's wintertime.
Good. Nice and chilly, how I like it.
Exactly. And there he is with no hair underneath that hat. Another fashion statement. Our very own Justin Ricciardi. How are you, Justin?
I'm good. I can't tell you anything about the waves, but I'm making. Kieran says he was at the gym, and that's why he can't be here. I just got back from the gym, and I'm dedicated to this podcast. Hence why I'm here, cooking dinner and talking football at the same time. Kieran, step your game up.
I went to the gym last night in order to be clear for the gym tonight. I had my priorities were set. It's nothing better than being able to come out, tell people what to bet on, and have them bet on something the opposite of what I predicted so that they can win money. All right, so let's start with our games of this week. Week 14 of the NFL season. We're going to start off with the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills and the Chiefs. Bill Martin, let's start that off. Do you think that coming off a bye, Josh Allen has enough to go into Kansas City and win this one?
Mm-mm. Bills, they don't have the stuff anymore. I mean,
They've lost their mojo?
Yeah, I think they're I lost all faith in them. And I think that, I just think they got to regroup next year. I think all hope is lost.
Wow. That is a particularly difficult statement to make.
That is damning. I mean, I heard that Josh Allen listens to this every week for motivation. So you might have just. I think I might side with the Bills now just because of that.
You just poured water on his hot throwing arm right now. You just cooled him right down because Josh was ready to go. They let him loose finally in Philadelphia when he played there, and put 31 points up on the Eagles' dismal pass defense, and you're thinking he's out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
what are you going to do?
He opened up against Philly, but they're just not winning games.
What's the spread on this one, Justin?
2.5.
2.5. Chiefs at home, 2.5. That's telling you that they predict the game's going to be a poorly played game, not a lot of scoring, and at the end, Mahomes will have the ball and go down and kick a field goal. Actually, sounds like a pretty good plan.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this line's pretty telling, right? Like, this is basically telling you that these teams are more or less pretty equal. If you give the Chiefs a 1.5 points, 1.75 for home field advantage, whatever you want to give them. Obviously, Buffalo's coming off a bye, so that's a little extra juice for them. But this one's pretty interesting to me. I think the Bills are still very good. The Bills got kind of the tough end of the stick. They've played a lot of very good teams. Their defense is very banged up. I think Josh Allen's playing at an MVP level, and that might be a crazy take to a lot of people, but I really do think he's playing at an MVP level. And I don't know, man. I'm looking at DraftKings right now. It's down to 1.5. I think this is a tough game. The Chiefs really just don't have enough guys. They just don't have enough guys. They lost to the Packers this past week because they don't have enough guys. No matter how well Mahomes is going to play, he has an aging Travis Kelce. He has a receiving core that's extremely young and inconsistent. And the defense looked pretty suspect against Jordan Love. So I don't know. This is the Buffalo Bills going into Arrowhead and stealing this game for me.
Well, listen, I'm going to go out on a limb right now. I think Josh Allen is playing really well. I think Buffalo needed the rest. They got the crap kicked out. They have a tough schedule. I mean, the schedule that they have is almost as bad as the Eagles' schedule. I mean, they have a brutal schedule. And so I've felt badly for them, but they got themselves in a hole as compared to Philadelphia going out 10-1. Bottom line, though, is I don't think the Chiefs are playing all that great. I think their offenses are playing the same. I just think that I think the Bills are going to win this game. I don't think you're going to go with. I'm not going to go with the Mahomes factor this time. I think that the Bills are in desperation mode. Chiefs will probably, screw me with a field goal at the end. But I'm gonna take the points, whatever they are, and I'm putting money on the Bills. Billy,
I think Chiefs win.
Chiefs
Back
win.
at
So you're going to lay
Arrowhead.
the 1.5.
Yeah, I think I will. I think it's going to be close, and I think Josh Allen's going to play well, but I don't think the rest of the Bills are going to play well enough to beat the Chiefs. I think they're too well coached, and I think they're just they're too tough at home.
All right. Well, I talked to Grace Martin, our fashion guru, and she told me specifically that the Chiefs' uniforms are going to bear it out, and that Kelsey and his good looks are going to win the day. So she's laying the points, going with the Chiefs and Big Red, and she's taking Kansas City laying the points.
That would have been nice to know before I gave my pick.
I
That's all I'm
know.
saying.
You didn't give your pick yet. Who you putting it on? Now you're all up in the air because of the fact.
Now I am reluctantly placing it on the Buffalo Bills, but I mean, I basically just admitted that I'm going to lose. So
I know.
Thanks,
Well,
Grace.
She hurt you there. Our next game, Jags and the Browns. All right, the two headless horsemen of the NFL right now. We have, unfortunately, Bill, you have no one to complain about anymore. Trevor Lawrence is out for a while.
Allegedly, he's back to practice today.
Well, with his fake high ankle sprain.
Yeah, he apparently.
Come on.
There's some rumors spilling around that he took most of the practice reps today. C.J. Beathard barely got any, and C.J. Beathard's dealing with a little shoulder problem. So we got quite a lot of drama going around in Jacksonville.
Well, I'll tell you right now that is still, no matter what, that's not a good scenario in Jacksonville. I like Peterson, but my Super Bowl pick was the Browns. Now, I didn't Super Bowl pick them with Joe Flacco as their quarterback, but my Super Bowl pick was the Browns. Browns at home with the dog pound, and Flacco, if he doesn't throw 3 picks, he's capable of doing that. I mean, he's got Zach Wilson in him. I mean, he's probably Zach Wilson 1.0 after he left the Ravens or at the end of his Ravens career. But if they don't let him throw the ball and he just goes out and hands the ball off and Hunt runs it, I think that they're gonna. I think they're gonna be all right. But I'll tell you, it's going to be a low-scoring game unless Trevor Lawrence miraculously grows a new ankle. And comes back and plays as if nothing's wrong. I'm going with the Browns. Billy?
I prayed for his downfall, but now I feel bad when it happens.
It was your fault.
Yeah, Billy, this is your fault. This is 100% your fault. You stepped on his ankle.
Basically, you gave him the malocchia, as the Italians would say.
Now I get to sit in peace and watch the sun set on a happy galaxy.
You did. You malicked the guy, and now look at him. The poor guy was writhing in pain on the football field because of your sheer hatred of him.
Anyway, Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl quarterback. Happy he's on the Browns. Would love to see him do well. My pick's going to be Browns.
You laying the 3 or money line?
No, I'll take the points too.
You're laying the 3. No, they're not getting. They're getting them at home. They're getting 3 points.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, you're giving them. You ain't taking them. We ain't giving them out for free either.
You're giving -3 at home, and it's a 31.5, which without Trevor Lawrence, that half's going to mean a lot.
Yeah, I don't know where those points are coming from, but I'll still do Browns -3 and have a good time. It'd be the most exciting game because not only is Trevor Lawrence not in it, but I also get to see Joe Flacco on the Browns, which will be in it. It's just like you don't see that often. Someone coming out of retirement playing.
Doesn't this remind you of my fantasy league team? Because when I go to fantasy, I pick every player that's been in the league for 15 years and is pretty much a dinosaur. So now, if I were playing fantasy, which I had to give up, Joe Flacco would be my starting quarterback. He's in his like 113th year. He's now, coming off the bench from Audubon, New Jersey. And there he goes. Joe Flacco. All right, Justin,
Great.
before we get to Grace's picks, I got to know yours.
Yeah, hey, I'm a huge Joe Flacco fan. I actually, I was lucky enough to have a conversation with him over email a couple years ago because he similar summer activities. We'll put it at that, right? We his lovely kids participated in some fun sporting events over the summer that we hosted, and
Stone Harbor Rec?
quite possibly. I'm not going to
Nice.
give the exact details, but yeah, he's an absolute gem. His kids are great. They would come dressed in various different Joe Flacco jerseys. Like one was a Ravens Joe Flacco, and one was a Jets Joe Flacco, and one was a Broncos Joe Flacco. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, did that actually matter as to which kid he liked better? Like the kid likes the best got the Ravens Joe Flacco. The kid he didn't like got the Jets Joe Flacco.
Maybe.
Right.
But yeah, that was pretty cool to see that. And whenever he would stop by the rec, all the kids would like flood to him because he's 6'7" and very noticeable. As for the game, I think Lawrence is a warrior. I think he's gonna play. The fact that he got an limited practice today was pretty telling. So I actually think he's gonna suit up. The problem is, how much is he gonna be able to move? Christian Kirk is out. That's a massive loss for them. He's really the main. He's really like the main get out of trouble guy. Calvin Ridley's a good man beater 1-on-1. Ingram's obviously been pretty solid, but it's a very, very big loss to not have Christian Kirk in there now.
What about the pass rush for the Cleveland Browns? Didn't they lose their best pass rusher?
Myles Garrett's a little bit dinged up, but the Jags might be in trouble. The Jags' offensive line is a little bit here, a little bit there. It's pretty inconsistent. And now you're going to put an inconsistent offensive line with Trevor Lawrence behind it. He can't really move. He just lost Christian Kirk. They're putting Parker Washington in. He's getting more snaps. He looked okay last week. But this is a pretty depleted Jags offense against one of the best defenses in the league in Cleveland, in the cold. Flacco looked fantastic last week. I don't know how in the world that happened, but he looked phenomenal last week. As long as Amari Cooper plays, this is a pretty easy Browns -3 for me. I don't see the Jags having much success on the offensive side of the ball, and they just came off they're coming off a short week, Monday Night Football. I don't see it. I think the Browns roll here. I think they have too much.
Well, you see, here's the problem with this. Well, first of all, I agree with you. I think the Browns win the game. But now getting to Grace's pick, she's really, really struggling with this. Joe Flacco is a Jersey guy. He's born and raised right around the corner from us. And so, he is a local favorite here. However, Browns have the most hideous uniforms in the entire league. And they don't call them the Browns for nothing. And they accent them beautifully with that orange. Okay. So if this were 1977 and the disco ball was rolling around, everyone would love those colors, but it's not. So Grace is going out on a limb. She's rooting for Lawrence to show up and be able to, wheel around in his wheelchair and get out of the pocket. And she's going to take the points, and she's going with the coolest team uniform in the AFC, the Jaguars, based upon the colors and the fact that the Jaguar are one of the coolest animals of all time. So Grace is going and laying the points in Cleveland.
That's a great point.
With the Jags.
I forgot about that. The Jaguar is a very underrated animal. Very, very cool animal.
One of the coolest animals of all time, and one of Grace's favorites. So she's going with him. So that's her pick. And again, crossing you, she's crossing swords with you there. And she's messing you up, man. So we're going to have to see. Her record. She's 3-1 again last week. The girl's styling. So next game we're moving forward to is we're going to mention the fact that the New York Giants are actually playing football next week.
Yes, we are. Tommy Cutlets, baby.
Now, who are they playing, Justin?
Doesn't even matter. Let's just forget about it. We don't need to do this game.
Come on. Who are they playing?
No, it's
Who are they playing? Come on.
It's okay. We're playing the Packers.
They're playing the Packers, but they're playing in New York.
Yeah.
They got Danny DeVito quarterbacking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so you guys like some cheese there, some
they
grated
put
cheese.
some numbers up. They have not lost in the last 3 weeks. I think, granted, they had a bye one of those weeks, but
Yeah, but that's we don't want to be winning right now. I don't know what is wrong with this franchise. Like, why are we trying to win? We're putting Tommy DeVito out there to purposely lose, and the kid's showing out. And now everyone's like, "Oh, why are we even tanking? We have the future of our quarterback in Tommy DeVito." It's like, no, guys, let's not lose the plot here. Ugh,
the
frustrating.
beauty of it is you have no shot of making the playoffs with the Eagles and the Cowboys ahead of you, and without Daniel Jones.
Don't tell Giants fans that, because they don't believe that one bit.
You dug yourself a hole. That you've got you have very weak offensive line, and the fact that you got to play 2 games against the Eagles coming down the stretch. I mean, not a lot of positive things coming out of this. You should be tanking the rest of the season. You're not. So the beauty of this is the Giants are going to play themselves into a mid-range first-round draft pick, and I'm loving it. So this week, the only problem they have is that Rodgers is actually not Rodgers, but the only problem this week is that Jordan Love actually learned how to play football in the last 2 weekends, and so he came out of nowhere. What's that? I know he
looks special.
He looks like the protege of Aaron Rodgers for the first time.
Isn't it funny? It's like you really see a lot of the same mannerisms, the mechanics. It's like you can very much see in his style and the way he throws a football that he was under Aaron Rodgers. He was the understudy for the past 3 years to Aaron Rodgers. Like, you can very much see it. It's kind of funny.
Unlike the fact that we can't see you in the video right now, and all we can see is a potted plant behind.
Yeah, I'm wandering through the grass right now. See, look, I'll appear and then I'll back off.
All right, just want to make sure.
And I'll come out.
That. You're in the jungle, man.
I'm in the jungle.
All right. So the short answer to this is Giants have no shot. The Giants fans are going to be lulled into thinking they can come back and beat the Packers. It's going to be a low-scoring game, and Packers going to win 20-13, and that's going to be the end of that game. What do you think?
I think our offense might have a little bit of success. Letdown spot for the Packers coming to New York. It's going to be disgusting. I think we'll be able to move the ball a little bit coming off the bye, but I don't have a ton of hope outside of that. So I don't think we're going to get a stop. I think their deep passing game is really going to put us in quite a bit of trouble. So yeah, I think the Packers roll here. I'm going to pick against the Giants because I want us to lose outright. I think realistically this will be a 24-13 Pack. Go Pack, go.
Why do you have 2 Monday night games this week?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know. The NFL's doing one of those weird scheduling things again. 2 games at once.
The Giants are plus 6.5 at home. That is not giving me a lot of hope. But if I'm going to lay the points, I'm taking the Packers because I think they win by a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be more than that, but I think they win by a touchdown. Now, I talked to Grace Martin about this one, right? She loves the Giants uniforms. She does. She thinks Saquon's the real deal. Okay. She doesn't like the fact that Danny DeVito is 5'2" and sells subs on Jimmy John's, and that's
very good subs though. Jimmy John's deserves a bit of credit.
True, but
no, not Jimmy John's. Jersey Mike's.
He's Jersey Mike's. Okay, not that it would make a difference, but he's Jersey.
No, it does. It does make Jersey Mike's is some. I've had some Jersey Mike's cheesesteaks. They're pretty kick ass. I'm not gonna
Jersey
lie.
Mike's subs are excellent, but you can't have Danny DeVito as your quarterback. Now, I don't care if he's homegrown, living home. She likes that too. The bottom line is the Packers, despite their cheeseheads, have green uniforms. Although hideous, it's her school colors. She can justify going with the pack with the school colors. and move along. But
That's a good angle. That's a
she's
good
not-
angle.
she's not real happy about it. She just feels that the Giants are so overmatched that she's actually going to put her that she's going to go with school colors in order to justify her taking the cheeseheads. And so there you go with that one. But
That's fair.
not happy about it. Uniforms will lead blue, but she thinks the Packers are going to win, and she thinks they're going to win handily, actually. So, all right. So moving on to our game of the week. Well, we got two of them left. We got the 49ers, and they're playing
AKA the city of Philadelphia's owners, the mayors of Philadelphia.
the revenge champs, having put their money where their mouth is. The 49ers having spanked the Eagles at home, which was pretty telling. And they're playing at home now. They flew back across the country to play the Seahawks. Do you think this is a letdown game, Justin?
Ooh, man, the Eagles suck, don't they?
You know, the 49ers.
There was one guy on this podcast last week. I forget who it was, but he said that the Eagles were going to get fucking. Oh, sorry.
That guy's lost in the trees somewhere, or the green grass somewhere.
Said that the Eagles were going to get steamrolled in their own building. He's looking pretty good right now, huh?
He was looking good. The rest of the homers were like, no, the Eagles are the real deal, and they're going to take it. I didn't think they were going to take it to them. I thought it'd be a close game and the Eagles would win at the end, but they got bitch slapped. And
so
they know it, though. They know it.
This is a tough matchup. The Seahawks just don't match up well with the Niners.
Nope.
Yeah, the Seahawks defense. The Seahawks defense is going to have to put together quite a masterpiece. Geno looked fantastic against Dallas last week. If they can do that same thing against San Fran, get the ball out quick and really just like get Geno to get it to Metcalf and Lockett and Fant early on in the progressions, that'd be great. I think they'll have a chance at success if that happens. The problem is this Niners offense is a wagon. It is a wagon. Yeah. I don't know how you stop it. I really don't. Deebo Samuel looks impossible to tackle. Like he runs through other grown men as if they're not there. I don't really. I don't know. I don't have a lot of answers for it.
And that was in one game, though. But he was highly motivated to beat the pants off of the Eagles. He had put his neck out there, and he was going to get destroyed if they didn't. This game started out plus 12 for Seahawks, and then it's dropped to 10.5. That's a lot of points in a division rival against a team that played the Cowboys toe-to-toe. I'm going to say this. My heart's begging the Seahawks to have a good game to help the Eagles out. That's a reach. I know that. But I do think that this game's going to be a lot closer than the Eagles game and the Cowboys game when the 49ers showed their dominance. I just don't. It's so hard to play at that high level with that high level of intensity in the NFL every single week. They are going home. I know that sounds like a sanctuary, but look what it did to Dallas when they went home. Dallas played against the Seahawks. They laid an egg on the defense. I mean, Seahawks should have won that game last week.
100%.
The coaches blew that game. They had 4th and 1, and they didn't run a quarterback sneak and tried to run the ball. Never do that. The Cowboys never should have gotten the ball back. So they absolutely blew that game. And 49ers are coming home. They're riding high. All this energy. It's not really a short week, but a little bit of a short week. I don't see the Seahawks beating them. It's not without the realm of possibility, but it's going to be less than 10.5 points. I take the 10.5 and take the Seahawks. And if I got to bet this game, 49ers are definitely winning this game, in my opinion, unless the ball gets turned over. But they don't turn it over. I mean, McCaffrey doesn't fumble, and their quarterback doesn't throw picks, at least right now. So
yeah, the funny thing is they don't even give Purdy the opportunity to throw picks. You know, it's like. That's what I find so interesting about Shanahan is that Purdy's playing well. I'm not gonna try to completely discredit him. He's playing well. He's doing what he needs to do, and when he's asked to make kind of pretty impressive throws, he's been making them.
Yep.
But I mean, watching that game last week, like they don't even give him the opportunity to throw interceptions. Like when he threw that crossing route to Kittle, wide open. When he's throwing to Debo, screens, slants, like they're just Shanahan is an absolute madman genius who schemes everything up perfectly to get his guys open, and then Purdy is very, very good at understanding the scheme,
Yep.
processing the scheme, and getting the ball where it needs to go. And at the end of the day, like, is he the most talented guy in the world? No. Is he the best quarterback in the league? Not by a long shot. But there is something to say about understanding your team and your scheme and what you are trying to do, and just executing that really freaking well. Like,
See-
he doesn't have the best arm in the world. He doesn't have the best anticipation in the world, vision. He doesn't have anything that's outstanding. But he knows that scheme inside and out. He knows where the ball needs to be, when it needs to be there, and he's delivering it at a high level. It's kind of hard to stop.
I agree with a lot of what you said, except one point, which I tend to disagree with everyone on, is I do think he's the best quarterback in the league right now. And
Really?
yes, but it has everything to do with being the right man in the right scheme with the right knowledge. Because, but that's with anything that you do. If you find what you're good at, if you find who you're good working with, if you're good at something and have good support, you can be the best.
Sure.
Tom Brady may not have been the best if he hadn't gotten in a situation with an excellent defense to start and a really good offensive coordinator, and he learned the game and developed. Okay. And even he couldn't carry a team by himself, you know, and most of these quarterbacks, well, Dan Marino's a perfect example, probably the best passer we'll ever see. How many Super Bowl rings does he have?
As many as you and I.
Yep. And he's got one more Super Bowl appearance than I do, but that's about it. And the point being is, whether you're the best passer, that's a different thing. Whether you're the best running quarterback, that's a different thing. Who is the best quarterback in the NFL goes with your wins, your completion percentage, your success rate, and I got to go with Purdy on it. So and my second guy is Jalen Hurts, and I'd have to say the only failing for Dak Prescott is his stretch runs and his playoff appearances. He doesn't perform necessarily well in all of those situations. I've seen him play well in those situations as well, but there have also been times when he hasn't. So, but right now, Dak's in the perfect scheme. Right now, until somebody decides to cut off CeeDee Lamb, but nobody seems to be able to do that. The only difference is there's so many options on San Francisco.
Yeah.
There's so many options. So, all right, shut down Kittle. Who else do you got? You have Ayuku, who we don't even talk about, who's really good, and you have Debo, right? And if they're all covered, you dump it down to McCaffrey, whose yards after the catch is incredible, and you let him run the ball. And he fumbles once in a blue moon. I mean, this is an incredibly talented team. Any team in the NFL that trades with the 49ers should automatically be blacklisted by every other team. No one should give them any talent ever. And
Same with the Eagles.
the fact that they got Chase Young from anyone, the fact that I will never forgive the Carolina Panthers. I don't care what they gave them for giving up McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers, because they're already loaded with talent and they have a good coach. And you're setting the entire NFC back. You want to trade McCaffrey, he goes to the AFC, not the NFC. You don't trade up talent like that in the NFC. So I do think Brock Purdy right now is the best quarterback in the league. I think that Mahomes isn't playing as well as he is, probably because he doesn't have the receivers that he needs. And I think personally, that is a byproduct of having a $50 million a year salary as a quarterback. You just can't afford your star talent in the wide receiver position. So, and a lineman that costs you $100,000, $100 million. So, that, you start paying those big contracts, it gets you somewhere. And that's where it's hurting the Chiefs. It's supposed to hurt the Chiefs. Mahomes is just a magician, but anyway, I digressed on that, but I think Purdy right now is playing as the best quarterback in the league. So I think that I'll take the points because I think it's a division rival, and I don't think that they usually end up over 10 points. But 49ers are going to roll. Grace had no problem with this except for one fact. One of the coolest birds in history is the Seahawk.
Is it a real bird?
It is a real bird. And
is it called a Seahawk?
Yes. Out west, it's called a Seahawk. And it is it's a tough bird. It's a resilient bird. And they have very cool uniforms. That uniform is pretty damn cool with that big bird on the thing, on the helmet. And
uniforms are fantastic.
Yes.
Did you see the ones they wore last week? Oh,
they were sick. I know.
They were sick.
But you're going against the 49ers. Now, the 49ers home uniform with the red is pretty cool with the gold helmets. So it's not as cool, as the Seahawk uniform and that bird. But what really throws her over the top and makes her pick the 49ers this week against everything she stands for,
Number
because she's an Eagles fan,
23.
is the best looking guy in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And you can't get around it. That's what he is. You accept that, like you accept Shanahan's offense, and you move on. So Grace putting her money and laying the points. I couldn't believe she would lay 10.5 points, but she's taking that. All right. So now we're moving on to the game of the week. The game that could either make or break the Cowboys season. The Eagles at the Cowboys. Now, coming off that loss, a lot of Eagles people around here are taking the gas pipe. They are done. They are, shaking in their boots. They feel the Eagles lost their mojo. They were exposed. Well, the Cowboys got exposed 4 or 5 weeks ago when 49ers thrashed them, and look what they've done after that. So, yes, 49ers seem to be the class of the league at this moment without any talent being missing. And the Cowboys offense is clicking. Justin, do you think the Eagles can put up enough points against the Cowboy defense to make this?
I do. I think the Cowboys always have. I think there's going to be a ton of points in this game. The Cowboys have a lot of trouble containing very methodical, smart offenses. The Cowboys capitalize on people being stupid, and they like to jump routes, and they like to be aggressive. And even when you look back to the game last year where Minshew was playing, the Eagles looked fantastic. Like they were taking, obviously, like Trayvon Diggs isn't playing because he tore his ACL, but the entire Cowboys secondary kind of operates on that jump the route, be aggressive, like try to force some turnovers kind of mantra. And the Eagles last year, like I just remember them rolling through the Cowboys defense, even with Minshew under center. Mm-hmm. And it's because they're just very good at developing game plans to kind of get around that. Now, are they going to be able to do that with Brian Johnson this year when Steichen's not here? I don't know. I hope Johnson just looks at the strategy from last year and says, wow, that worked really well. I'm going to employ that. But it's hard to keep the Eagles out of any game because at the end of the day, you have an incredibly good offensive line and a good running game and a ton of skill everywhere. So, yeah, it was the Niners game bad? Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. But, it's the NFL. It's a 60-minute game. And obviously the Eagles aren't as bad as they looked, despite them looking horrendous, right? Like no one's ever as bad as they look in 1 week of the NFL. The Cowboys aren't the best team in the league. The Eagles aren't the worst team in the league. That's why the spread's only 3 here. I think the Eagles will keep it close. I think DeAndre Swift has to get less touches. I've been such a not DeAndre. I've just been a not fan of his for a while. I think he tries to break everything into a 600-yard touchdown run, and that's not sustainable. You need guys that just move the chains. So I would like Swift to get less touches, but I mean, hard to keep the Eagles out of this one. I think it'll be a really good game. So I'll take the points with the Birds.
I think you're right in a lot of what you said. I agree with you. I disagree with the DeAndre Swift with touches. Eagles got to run the ball. Their other option is Gainwell. which I think he shouldn't touch the ball at all. I think he's a terrible player, at least right now. He played very well at the end of the year last year and early in the playoffs. Got to give him that. He just has not had a good year. Boston Scott, he's been useful. They're not playing
only against the Giants.
They're not playing the Giants. Exactly my point. So you can't use Boston Scott all that much. Although he was relatively effective last week. So I think their option is that they have to run the ball and Swift has to have 20 touches. Now I think they have to run him, but I think they have to run him right at people. They're going east to west too much. I think they have to go more north to south, and they like to go off the right side, but they seem to have more success off the left side. So I'm not sure where they're going with that. I'm not an NFL expert. I know that. I just seem to notice that when they had their big games and they were running straight off of the hole between guard and left tackle, they were having a lot of success and all those zone blocking. So I think they got to do that more toward the middle, quick hitters, that type of way, and keep the ball on the ground and tire these Cowboy guys out. They don't want to play the run. The Cowboy guys aren't that huge. They are quick. They are good. They are pass rushers. They're going to get their sacks. I don't think they're going to be patient like last week. It was an unbelievable amount of patience that the 49ers had on defense, letting Jalen Hurts sit back there for 6 or 7 seconds and pat the ball. But nobody was open. But I can't see the Cowboys ever being that patient. And so they'll put a lot of heat on them. And so the Eagles got to punch the ball at their linemen, tire them out, throw the ball later in the game. I don't think you throw the ball. I think you got to run more early in the game. I do think they keep it close. I see it at 3.5 right now. I would take the Eagles in the 3.5. I think it's going to be a close game. One team wins by a field goal, maybe, as compared to the other. And it matters who's playing well down the stretch. If I had to choose between if the Eagles have the ball with 6 minutes left, and if they've played a solid game, they got 24 points up already. Do I think they drive down? Do I think they use up the clock? Do I think they score a touchdown? Yeah. I think you got to be smart. I think you got to be the last team with the ball in your hand in this football game, whether it's scoring the touchdown at the end and not giving them more than 30 seconds to try and score. But that's what you got to do. And it's kind of the way they did it last game. The Eagles beat them up last game. The Eagles tried to give it to them at the end. But I take the Eagles and lay to 3.5. Which one are you going to do?
I completely agree with the you kind of just have to be the last team with the ball. And with that, with the DeAndre Swift take, I also 100% agree there. They're like that. That's kind of what I meant by like everything seems to be a home run shot. Like every time DeAndre Swift touches the ball, he's trying to break around the edge and get it and hit it and score a touchdown on that exact play. And it's like you gotta, like you're saying, right? You just gotta ram yourself up the middle a couple times, right? Make them feel you. Advance the ball 3-4 yards. That's all you need, right? Like football's not that complicated. Just get 3 to 4 yards every single down, and you'll never give the ball back up. So
I think they have to be efficient on third down too, and they don't have to get it. I think they need to run more on third down. They're some of their play calling on third down was very poor, which is 3rd and 3. I think you should run that ball. Now you don't necessarily have to run through the tackles. I don't have and it doesn't. What's wrong with having the quarterback under center for that? But have him in a 12 setup. You know what I mean? But let them think you could do either one. Play action sometimes, but they have 2 shots at getting the first down, and they have to use them. So
especially for the Eagles, right? Like if it's 4th and 1, you're not getting stopped. Like 3rd and 3 is not 3rd and 3. It's 3rd and pick up 2 yards, and then you're going to get a first down.
Right. So that's the reason I say that, which is, hey, get them under center, hand the ball off, but not the guy doesn't have to be 7 deep. You know what I mean? Or run play action off that. and a quick pass to the tight end or something. See, the Eagles don't do enough. The play action rollout the 49ers do all the time. They make it in a run setup. They do a naked bootleg, and have the tight end leak out. I mean, it's
now Goddard back this week will be massive.
I agree. That was a huge miss. I'm surprised they haven't picked up Ertz yet, but I don't think Goddard wants Ertz. I think he doesn't want Ertz on his back. He doesn't want Eagles fans up his, what. So
up his what?
Yes, I don't think he wants anybody saying you should put Ertz in or that kind of thing. But I think Zach Ertz would be a help to him. I think they need a backup. I think they need 2 tight end setups. He's not the best pass blocker, but you can have a 2 tight end set and use him as a receiver, to confuse the defense. But that's the least of the worries. I like that the linebackers are getting better. That new linebacker, I'm hoping, will help them. They got the Eagles got a linebacker back. They're getting a little more healthy. I think there's a good chance that they can beat the Cowboys. It's going to be a tough game, but you got to win tough games, right? Eagles win this, they're in the driver's seat for the overall number 1. Eagles lose this, they're still in the driver's seat when it comes to winning the division. Cowboys got a really tough schedule coming up. Everyone's like, "Oh, Cowboys are done." They're not. They're not. But San Francisco has an easier schedule than the Eagles, and they have the head-to-head, so they half game that on us. So I think the Eagles, this is a tough game. I think they need to win this. If they win this game, they're not out of it, though, because they got to go to Seattle. That's the other thing. You got to win in Seattle.
That's an ugly game. Oh God, that is not a fun game. Especially Seattle's fighting for their life every single week. Hungry dogs run faster. You don't want to be going up against guys that are playing for their lives every week.
No, I do predict one thing. I do have a prop bet on this.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, Dak over 300 yards.
Wow! Oh, wow! How the tides turn.
I think the Eagles win. It's going to be difficult on Eagles fans, but I think Dak's going to throw for over 300 yards. He has great games against the Eagles. The difference is going to be, does he throw a pick or 2, which he tends to do late in the game at the wrong time.
Have him call up Zach Wilson and ask for advice.
They need a chat. So
just a chat.
Just a chat. Just as long as he rubs his mojo off on Dak. And Dak's going now. Everyone's saying Dak's going to be MVP. Dak's going to be MVP. It's a perfect time for Dak to choke. Perfect time. Pressure on Dak has to come. The pressure on Dak has to come up the middle, and you can't let him run. That was where he really punished the Eagles last time when he got out and he's moving out of the pocket. They have to keep him in the pocket. He's not as effective. Don't go wide. Keep it tight. If you don't get to him, just keep pushing the pocket back. And then when he tries to back out of the pocket, then the ends go get him. See, if you look at the sacks from the last game, the Eagles, when they contained him, and then he had nobody open, and he would look for somewhere to run. There was no hole. He would then back out of the pocket and try and run around the end. He's not that fast, at least not as fast as when he was young. And our ends caught him. And that's how he got sacked a couple of times the last game when he was trying to back out. That's what they need to do. Keep the pocket tight, no holes, and keep that. One last point that will be the turning point in this game. And that is if the Eagles can stop a 3rd and 7 or better, because they got annihilated on a 3rd and 7 and more by the 49ers, and they just couldn't get off the field. And if you have 3rd and 7, you should be getting off the field 2 out of 3 times, minimally. And they
gotta get off the field.
Yeah, they weren't. That's 3rd and long. That's NFL. That's the death blow. They got off the field 2 times at the beginning of the game. That was it. The rest of the time, they didn't make a stop. And they had plenty of opportunities. 3rd and 15, they're playing off. They get 16 yards. Come on. It was an out pattern. You can't do that. You got to take a risk. So that's going to be at 3rd down, anything 7 or more. If the Eagles have 2 out of 3, they win this game. It's not so much the turnovers, it's that.
That's fair. No, I completely agree with that. At 3rd and long, gotta get your ass off the field, especially because you can get off the field, get your guys' offense back in there, and start controlling the pace of the game, bleed the clock out. That'll all work out pretty well.
Eagles are good at 1st and 2nd down. They're just horrendous. I think they're last in the league in getting off the field on 3rd and long, and that is just unacceptable. I said that's how bad it is. It's unacceptable. So my pick: Eagles plus 3.5. Yes, I'm a homer, but I think there's a legitimate basis to go with this. I think the Cowboys are overly. They think they're better than they are, and I think they're overrated. Teams that blew out before were not scary teams. This is unlike the 49ers, which I was afraid for the Eagles in that game, because the 49ers are that good. They have beaten good teams, and they've beaten them pretty badly. Cowboys are only beaten up on weak teams. Now they won the game last week against the 6-5 team, but they squeaked it out because the Seattle coaches blew the game. So I think the Eagles win this one. A close game. I go with Philly. So
I'll go with that too. I'll take the 3.5 with the egg rolls.
Wow. Did Justin Ricciardi just take the Eagles?
I mean, I as you know, I'm hoping this game just ends in a tie, 0-0, and both teams go home miserable. I don't know. Yeah.
If you had
that seems like a lot.
All right.
For this,
you had two trains. They're going at each other. One's got the Dallas team on it, and the other team's got the Eagles on it. When they collide, where are the survivors? You have to choose the survivors.
I never root for death.
Okay.
I just root for them to be miserable and hate themselves after the game. Which come on, like, that's completely reasonable. You know, I'm not rooting for anything crazy. I just want them to realize that they all suck at football and that they should pick a different profession, and that their fans are a bunch of losers, and that the city of Philadelphia is full of a bunch of bad people. That's all.
Okay, so the whole city's full of bad people. Aren't you a New York fan? Aren't you a New York fan?
Nothing. Again, I'm not saying anything crazy. I'm just that's all.
All right, so you're just hoping for both teams to forfeit.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Because a tie doesn't do you any good.
No, tie. Yeah, a tie sounds okay. I'll go with the tie. I'll go with the tie.
The win for the Eagles, the tie.
Sure, but I'll just go with the tie so that both teams are upset.
If the Eagles tie, they stay a full game ahead of San Francisco.
Oh, so tie is pretty good for you guys then.
Tie would be difficult.
I hope the game gets canceled. There you go.
There you go.
Sounds good to me.
You got to go with my dad's philosophy, which was the Giants are playing the Cowboys. I want both teams to lose.
Yeah.
How is that possible? I don't care. That's what
just figure it out.
I'm rooting for a double default.
Just figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Well, that's it for our show today. Thanks to our crack panel. We seem to have lost Bill Martin Jr., but thank you, Bill, for your efforts. Justin Ricciardi, always a pleasure. Great speaking to you. And sorry you had
pleasure is mine.
Sorry you had to pick the Eagles.
Yeah.
But on the Giants game, did you actually make a selection?
No. Oh yeah, I did. No, I picked the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, by the way, last pick of the day. Eagles going green. Grace Martin picking the Eagles to go into Dallas, break the losing streak that the Eagles have, and win the game outright.
Oh my God.
Outright. She doesn't even want the points.
Grace goes up to the counter and they're like, here are the points. And she says, no, keep your damn points.
Keep your points. I don't want them.
I don't want them.
I don't want them.
Go,
I don't need them.
Okay? Let's go, Grace.
She's going with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles green. That's your winning team. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. That's our show. Go Birds.
See you next week, everybody.